The lights inside the theater were soft and steady, like a long breath being held. The stage stood quiet, polished, and wide, waiting without impatience. Rows of empty seats faded into shadow, and the air carried a gentle hum from the cameras and wires. It was the kind of calm that comes just before something important begins. Not exciting yet, not sad yet. Just still. Backstage, a man stood with his hands folded in front of him. His name was Daniel Carter. He was not young, and he was not old. His hair showed thin lines of gray at the sides, and his shoulders leaned forward slightly, as if life had asked him to carry more than most. Beside him stood his son, Noah Carter, small and quiet, holding tightly to his father's sleeve. Daniel looked down at Noah and smiled. It was a soft smile, careful and steady. Noah smiled back, but his eyes were tired. He was only 9 years old, yet his eyes held the weight of many long nights. Nights filled with hospital lights, low voices, and the steady beeping of machines. Daniel reached down and brushed Noah's hair with his fingers. "You ready?" he asked gently. Noah nodded. "I like this song," he whispered. Daniel felt his chest tighten, but he nodded too. "Me too." They had waited a long time for this moment. Not just the audition, but the chance to stand still and sing without fear, without rushing, without pretending everything was fine. Music had always been Daniel's quiet place. He never sang for crowds. He sang in the car, late at night. He sang in hospital rooms when Noah could not sleep. He sang to keep himself from breaking. The stage manager gave them a small signal. It was time. Daniel walked onto the stage alone. Noah stayed just behind the curtain, close enough to hear, close enough to feel safe. The lights grew brighter, but not harsh. Daniel blinked once, then lifted his eyes toward the judge's table. Simon Cowell sat in the center, calm and serious. Heidi Klum leaned forward slightly, her hands folded. Howie Mandel watched with gentle curiosity. Sofia Vergara smiled softly, her eyes warm and open. Daniel took a breath. It was slow and deep. The kind of breath you take when you are about to tell the truth. "My name is Daniel Carter," he said. His voice was steady, but quiet. "I'm here today to sing a song for my son." Simon nodded. "What song will you be singing?" "Hotel California," Daniel answered. There was a small pause. It was not surprise, exactly. It was curiosity. Simon raised an eyebrow slightly, then leaned back. "Whenever you're ready," Simon said. The first notes began, slow and familiar. The music filled the room gently, like a memory drifting back without warning. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his voice followed. "On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair." His voice was not loud. It did not try to impress. It simply moved forward, one word at a time, like footsteps on a quiet road. There was a roughness to it, shaped by years of singing softly, never shouting. Each line felt lived in, worn, and real. Backstage, Noah sat on a small stool, listening. His hands rested in his lap. He knew this voice. He knew this song. It had been with him during nights when the pain made it hard to breathe. During mornings when fear sat heavy in his stomach. As Daniel sang, the theater seemed to shrink. The walls felt closer, warmer. The audience leaned in without realizing it. The song was no longer about a hotel. It was about being trapped. About wanting to leave, but staying anyway. About loving someone so much that you keep walking forward, even when you are tired. There she stood in the doorway. Daniel sang, his voice catching just slightly. He steadied himself. He did not stop. He did not rush. Simon's face changed. His posture softened, his eyes no longer sharp. Heidi's lips parted as she listened, her breath slow and quiet. Howie pressed his lips together, blinking once. Sophia placed a hand over her chest. Daniel reached the chorus, and something shifted. His voice grew fuller, not louder, but deeper. As if he had stepped into the center of the song at last. "You can check out any time you like," he sang, "but you can never leave." The words hung in the air, heavy and true. Daniel thought of hospital hallways. Of waiting rooms. Of promises made quietly in the dark. He thought of Noah's small hand in his own, gripping tightly as if afraid to let go. His eyes filled, but he kept singing. Halfway through the song, Daniel opened his eyes and looked toward the side of the stage. Noah was there now, standing where he could see. Their eyes met. Noah smiled. Daniel's voice trembled, just for a moment. It was not weakness. It was honesty. The music carried him forward, and he followed. By the final lines, the room felt suspended. No one moved. No one coughed. No one whispered. Even the cameras seemed quieter. Daniel sang the last note and let it fade. He did not rush away from the silence. He stood still, his hands at his sides, his head bowed slightly. The silence lasted longer than expected. It was thick and full, like the moment after a storm when the air smells clean and new. Then Sophia stood up. She was crying openly now, her hands pressed to her face. Heidi followed, her eyes shining. Howie stood as well, nodding slowly. Simon remained seated for a moment longer, his face tight, his eyes wet. Then he stood too. The applause came in waves, strong but not wild. It was filled with respect, not noise. Simon spoke first. His voice was low. "Daniel," he said, pausing. "That wasn't just a song. That was a story." Daniel nodded, unable to speak. "I've heard this song many times," Simon continued. "But I've never heard it like that. You didn't perform it, you lived it." Daniel swallowed. Heidi stepped forward. "Why this song?" she asked gently. Daniel took a breath. "My son is very sick," he said simply. "We've spent a lot of time in places we can't leave easily. This song helped me say things I couldn't explain." The room grew quiet again. Noah stepped out a little more, standing where everyone could see him. Daniel reached out and Noah took his hand. Howie spoke next. "You sang for him," he said. "And we felt that." Sophia wiped her tears. "That was love," she said. "Pure love." Simon looked at the two of them, then down at the desk. His hand hovered over the golden buzzer. He hesitated, just for a breath. "Daniel," he said, his voice breaking slightly, "this show is about moments. And this is one of them." He pressed the golden buzzer. Gold confetti burst into the air, falling slowly like warm rain. The lights shimmered. The music swelled. Noah laughed, a clear, bright sound that cut through everything else. Daniel dropped to his knees and pulled his son into his arms. He did not cry loudly. He simply held him, his face pressed into Noah's shoulder, breathing him in. The judges clapped, the audience cheered, but for Daniel, the world narrowed to this one small boy, safe in his arms. Later, backstage, the noise faded. The confetti was swept away. The lights dimmed. Daniel sat with Noah on a quiet bench. Noah leaned against him, sleepy but smiling. "You did it," Noah said softly. Daniel kissed the top of his head. "We did it." Outside, the night was calm. The road ahead was still uncertain. The problems had not disappeared. But something had shifted. Something gentle and strong had taken root. For one moment, they were not trapped. For one moment, they were free. And that was enough.